Hello. Thank you for joining us for this seasonal story. This is Hershel and the Hanukkah Goblins, based on the version written by Eric Kimmel in 1985. It was the first night of Hanukkah. Hershel of Ostrapol was walking down the road, tired and hungry. His step was light, though, because soon he'd reach the next village, where bright candles and merry songs and plates piled high with tasty potato latkes should be waiting for him. But when he arrived, the village was silent and dark. Not one single Hanukkah candle could be seen. "Isn't tonight the first night of Hanukkah?" Hershel asked the villagers. "Oh, we don't get to have Hanukkah, Hershel," one of them answered sadly. "No Hanukkah? How can that be?" "It is because of the goblins. They haunt the old synagogue building at the top of the hill. They hate Hanukkah. Whenever we try to light a menorah, the goblins blow out the candles. They break our dreidels. They throw our potato latkes on the floor. Those wicked goblins make our lives miserable all year long. But on Hanukkah, it is really bad." Hershel knew he needed to help these people. "I'm not afraid of goblins," he said. "Tell me how to get rid of them." "It is not as easy as you think," the rabbi warned. "You must spend 8 nights in the old haunted synagogue building at the top of the hill. The Hanukkah candles must be lit each night. On the 8th night, the king of the goblins must light them himself. That is the only way to break his power." "I'm not afraid, Rabbi," Hershel said. "If I can't outwit a few goblins, then my name isn't Hershel of Ostrapol." And it is. The villagers wished Hershel good luck. They had no potato latkes to give him, so they packed a few hard-boiled eggs for him to eat, along with a big jar of garlicky pickles. The rabbi gave Hershel a brass menorah and a package of candles and a box of matches. Then the villagers said goodbye. Nobody expected to see Hershel alive ever again. It was long past sundown by the time Hershel reached the top of the hill where the old synagogue building stood. The crumbling building was gloomy and dark, and rusty hinges squealed as Hershel opened the door. Hershel shuddered. He could believe goblins lived here. He put 2 candles into the menorah and set it on the windowsill. He struck the match and lit the first candle. He said the blessings and was about to light the other candle when he heard a voice. "Hey, what are you doing?" Hershel turned around. Here was a goblin no bigger than a horsefly, with a long pointy tail and 2 little bat's wings just hovering there in the air. "I'm lighting the Hanukkah candles," Hershel said. "Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah." "Oh, no, it's not. We don't allow Hanukkah, not around here." "Is that so?" said Hershel. "So what's going to stop me?" "I may be little, but I'm strong," threatened the goblin. "Really? Strong? Can you crush rocks in your hand?" asked Hershel. The goblin laughed. "Crush rocks? You're joking. Nobody's that strong." "I am. Watch." And Hershel took one of the hard-boiled eggs out of his pocket and squeezed it until the yolk and the white ran between his fingers. "That's how hard I'm going to squeeze if you try to stop me from lighting these candles." The little goblin's eyes opened wide, since in the dim light of just 1 candle, the egg did look exactly like a rock. The little goblin shook with fear. "You leave me alone," he squeaked. "Oh, gladly," said Hershel, "if you leave me alone to light my candles in peace." "All right," said the goblin. "One night won't make a difference. But you better not be here tomorrow. Big, scary goblins are coming, much bigger than I. If they catch you lighting Hanukkah candles, you'll be sorry." "We'll see about that," Hershel said to himself, and he lit the next candle. On the second night, another goblin appeared. This one was big, huge, waddled like a goose. Hershel was just finishing his dinner of pickles and hard-boiled eggs. "Have some pickles," he said to the goblin. "What are pickles?" "Oh, here, catch." And Hershel tossed him a sour pickle. The goblin caught it right in his mouth and swallowed it up. Pickles are good." "Do you like them? I have plenty here in this jar. Take all you want." The greedy goblin grabbed as many pickles as his claws could hold, but when he tried to pull his full fist out of the jar, he couldn't. "I'm stuck," the goblin shouted. "You put a spell on this jar to hold me fast." "Yeah, right," Hershel laughed. "And it is a very powerful spell. You came here tonight to stop me from lighting the Hanukkah candles. So now I am going to light them while you stand there with your hand in that jar and watch. How do you like that?" "No, no," the goblin screamed. "I hate Hanukkah." "Too bad. You'll just have to get used to it." And Hershel said the blessings and lit the candles slowly. And then he sang all of his favorite Hanukkah songs, one after another. The goblin wailed and carried on so much that Hershel finally felt sorry for him and decided to let him go. "Shall I tell you how to break the spell?" Yes, I can't stand it anymore." "Let go of the pickles. Your greed is the only spell holding you prisoner." And the goblin let go of the pickles, and of course his empty hand slipped out of the jar easily. Oh, how that goblin raged. He had stood there with his hand in a pickle jar while Hershel had lit the Hanukkah candles right under his nose. The furious goblin stomped his foot so hard that he shattered into a million pieces, and the wind blew them away. The third night came. Hershel felt something watching him as he set the 4 candles in the menorah. Instead of lighting them, he began playing with his dreidel. An hour passed. Hershel finally looked up, and sitting across the table was another goblin. This one had a fiery red face and 2 enormous horns. "It's getting late," the goblin said. "When are you going to light the candles?" "Oh, later, there's plenty of time." Hershel spun the dreidel again. "This is more fun." "What you playing with?" the goblin asked. "It looks like a top." Well, it is a top. It's a dreidel. Don't you know about dreidels? "No." "Oh, too bad. Dreidels are lots of fun. You can even make lots of money if you know how to play." "Really?" The goblin was interested now. I mean, all goblins love money, and this one was no exception. "How do you play?" "It's very simple," Hershel said. "Oh, but you must have gold. That is the first rule." "I have plenty. Is this enough?" And the goblin poured a pile of gold coins onto the table. "That looks fine," Hershel said. "Listen carefully now. These are the rules. This top is 4 sides. Each side is 1 letter. This letter is Shin. Shin means 1. If it comes up, you give me 1 handful of gold. This letter is Hey. Hey means half. If it comes up, you give me half your gold. This letter is Gimel. Gimel means all. If the dreidel falls on this letter, you give me all your gold. Understand?" Wait, too fast. Wait, there's 1 letter left. What about this one?" "Oh, that's Nun. Nun means nothing. The dreidel falls on Nun. I have to not give you anything. Are you ready? Let's play. You go first." The goblin spun the dreidel. and the little top whirled around and around. And when it fell, the letter on top was Shin. Too bad, Hershel said, taking one big handful of the goblin's gold. Oh, try again. Maybe you'll have better luck. The goblin spun the dreidel once more, and this time it fell on hay. This just isn't your night, Hershel said, helping himself to half the goblin's gold. One more try. Your luck is bound to improve. Once again, the goblin spun. This time, the dreidel landed on Gimel. Too bad, Hershel sighed, as he took all the rest of the goblin's gold. Would you like me to spin? Yes, the goblin grumbled. He was very unhappy about losing all his gold coins. Hershel spun the dreidel. And this time the letter on top was Nun. Oh man, now I have to not give you anything. I have to keep all the gold. Oh well, that was fun. Say, get some more gold and we can play again. What about the candles? Oh, we can light them later. There's plenty of time. Not for me, the goblin said. I'm leaving. I don't like this game, I don't like Hanukkah, and I don't like you. Oh, don't go, Hershel said. I know lots of great games. Stay a while, we'll have fun. Goodbye. And the goblin spread his wings, swooped out the door, and flew off into the night. Hershel lit the candles all by himself. On the following nights, other goblins came. One of them had 6 heads. One of them had 3 eyes. All of them were terrible and fierce. They growled and roared and changed themselves into horrible shapes. They tried to stop Hershel from lighting the candles, but Hershel fooled them all. Eventually, the 7th night arrived. 8 tiny candles flickered on the windowsill. Hershel sat back to enjoy the light. Where were the goblins? Had they finally given up? Hershel felt very sleepy. His eyes drifted closed. But suddenly he sat up. He had heard a horrible noise, a voice that sounded like the cracking of bones. Happy Hanukkah, Hershel of Ostrapol. What? Who is it? Who's there? Don't you know who I am, Hershel? Weren't you expecting the king of the goblins? And the voice rose to a hurricane roar. It ripped the shingles from the roof. It shattered the windows. The candles reeled in a savage blast of wind, but the flames did not go out. You're too early, Hershel shrieked. You're not supposed to come until tomorrow. The great wind died down. Don't worry, Hershel. I am still far away, though I have the power to see you and speak to you even from here. Enjoy this Hanukkah evening, my friend. It will be your last. You fooled my slaves, the other goblins. Let's see if you think you can fool me. Poor Hershel. What was he to do? The king of the goblins was on his way, and no power on earth could stop him unless... Hershel had an idea. It was a big risk, but he had to take it. I mean, it was the only way to save himself. And Hanukkah. Finally, it was the last night of Hanukkah. Hershel set 9 candles in the menorah. But instead of placing it on the windowsill where it belonged, he put the menorah and the box of matches on a small table over next to the door. And then he sat down to wait. Night fell. It grew as dark as pitch inside the gloomy old synagogue building. Outside, the whole world lay cold and silent. Suddenly, a great gust of wind ripped the door from its hinges. The whole building shook, and a fearsome voice spoke,
"Hershel of Ostrapol."
Did I hear something?
"It is I, the King of the Goblins."
Hershel forced himself to laugh. Aha! Don't be silly. You're just one of the boys from the village. You're out trying to scare me.
I am not a boy. I am the King of the Goblins.
I'll believe that when I see it. Show yourself.
Behold, I stand before you. Do you believe me now?
Hershel tried not to look. Even in the darkness, he could see the outline of a truly monstrous shape filling the doorway. A figure too horrible to describe. But he had to pretend to not care. It's too dark. I can't see anything. Oh, I think there's a candlestick and maybe some matches over there next to the doorway. Why don't you light a few candles? Then I'll see who you really are.
Indeed you shall.
And a match flared. That first candle caught the flame. Hershel's blood turned to water at the awful sight before him. But he did not lose courage. It's still too dark. Now, what are you afraid of? There's plenty of candles. Why not light them all? A hideous hand took that first candle and lit the others one by one. Hershel felt himself growing faint, but he forced himself to look. His eyes grew wider and wider as each candle caught the flame. 6, 7, 8. The King of the Goblins stood before him, revealed in the light of 9 burning candles.
Now, Hershel, do you know who I am?
Well, I know you're not Queen Esther.
Very funny. Enjoy your joke. It will be your last.
That's what you think. Be gone, or I'll take a stick to you.
How dare you speak to the King of the Goblins that way?
I'll speak any way I please. You have no more power here. Your spell is broken. See? The menorah is lit. Oh, you thought those were just ordinary candles you were lighting, but they weren't. Those were tonight's Hanukkah candles. And you lit them yourself. The King of the Goblins roared with fury. The earth trembled, and a mighty wind rose. It ripped off the roof and blew down the walls. It splintered the timbers and scattered them like matchsticks. Around the menorah, that whirlwind howled, but the candles never even flickered. They burned with clear, steady flames. The King of the Goblins had no more power over them here. Hershel and Hanukkah had triumphed. The great wind vanished as suddenly as it had risen. Hershel rubbed his eyes. The night was as still as before, even though the synagogue building was gone. Walls, floor, roof, even the foundation stones had vanished. But that menorah remained, standing tall there on the little table where Hershel had placed it. Hershel waited until the last candle burned out. And then he started down the road that led to the village. I better hurry, he thought. I don't want to miss the last night of Hanukkah. But there was no reason to worry. In every window, They stood a menorah with 9 gleaming candles to light his way. The whole village was waiting for him. Happy Hanukkah, Hershel of Ostrapol.